The Gallup poll did a survey of teachers back in the 1940s, and they said the two biggest problems in the classroom were chewing gum and not staying in line. Things have changed a lot. Today, teenagers have so much stress, and it's very important for parents to understand how to help them with their emotions. Adolescence is a roller coaster emotionally, and sometimes parents don't really have an idea of when it goes from normal roller coaster to the ditch. And suicide among adolescents is a very serious, real problem that we're facing in our nation. The gifts for our feelings, for instance, anger, when we teach our family members the gifts of the emotions, anger is not a bad emotion. I'd rather have joy, passion, and love than anger, fear, and guilt. But the gift of anger is energy. The gift of fear is wisdom. If we didn't have fear, we would not know to walk out in front of a truck. Anxiety is something much different than that. The number one reason that people see a primary physician today are issues related to anxiety. And the Center for Disease Control says the number one reason for workplace disability are issues related to depression. And often those two mental health issues are hand in glove, they occur together. So soothing is very important, and being seen. So I encourage families to do a feelings check-in. It's really important for kids to see that their parents also have all of the feelings: fear, anger, joy, love, shame, embarrassment. It normalizes those feelings, and if the parent is expressing a situation that resulted in one of those feelings, the teen would be much more, I think, ready to come to the parent and express their experiences. Adolescent girls' brains myelinate. The completion is generally by late adolescence, but young adolescent boys, it's not into their mid-20s that their brain is fully myelinated. So drugs and alcohol are very dangerous for adolescents to experiment with, and this needs to be a conversation that's not avoided. Some of the indicators that a teen might be experimenting with drugs and alcohol would be a change in friends, lowering grades, avoidance of family, being secretive. Those are indications that a parent might need to check out what's going on, because drugs and alcohol contribute significantly to teen suicide. Teens often experiment with drugs to fit in, to relieve boredom, to forget the troubles and relax, only in the long run it creates a lot more stress and difficulty. There's a quote by author Caroline Knapp, and I think she says this very well. She says, "Pain festers in isolation. It thrives in secrecy. Words are its nemesis. Naming anguish is the first step in diffusing it. Talking about the muck we slog through, the squirming of self-hatred and guilt, the echoes of emptiness and need, is a prerequisite for moving beyond it." So being real with your adolescents, letting them know that no matter what they bring to you, you've probably experienced the same thing, and doing regular emotional check-ins and normalizing all emotions, understanding, teaching your adolescents the gifts of all emotions is very important. That's one of the biggest, emotional connection is one of the biggest indicators of relationship stability and intimacy. So teens are going to have a lot of stress, and being able to be seen at home and safe at home and soothed at home is a very protective factor against suicide. Loneliness and feeling isolated, not feeling important, those happen for all humans, but especially at adolescents when they're really going through that, who am I okay, am I safe? And parents are the base for establishing that. The best ability in any relationship is availability. And they have done research that shows in America the average time spent, non-task related time, is 13 minutes a day with parents and their child or their adolescent. So it's imperative that we find non-task ways to be with our kids and doing something that's enjoyable together. When you do something physically together, as simple as take a walk, or if your child likes to do something creative, touch is also a very important part. Touch releases oxytocin, which is the calming, bonding neurochemical. And so teens are probably, maybe be squeamish if you give them a hug or whatever, but that does not mean they don't need it. So healthy touch, gentle back rub or a hug or spending time with is very important. So finding things in nature that are enjoyable. It's important to spend time with your adolescent. We're not spending time with someone when we're sitting next to them, both on our digital devices or watching TV. We're spending time with someone when we're actually making eye contact and listening. The eyes are very important in bonding. It was during, the first few months in childhood that bond, and it is so for the rest of our lifespan. To be seen, to be heard, requires that we're in proximity to that person actually paying attention. Asking our teenagers what they're thinking. When their mind goes to the future, that produces anxiety. When our mind goes to the past, that produces despair and depression. And I've heard it said that yesterday's a canceled check, tomorrow's a promissory note, today's all the cash we have, so spend it very well. So using the tool of staying present, identifying what we're feeling, and if somebody doesn't know what they're feeling, coach them to guess what they might be feeling. And then to tolerate those feelings. And many times knowing the gift of that feeling is the step toward being able to tolerate it. So the gift of anger is energy, the gift of pain is growing, healing, awareness, the gift of embarrassment is humanity, humility. The gift of loneliness is self-discovery. When we can be with ourselves and feel at peace, that's a good indicator that we're living in the moment, tolerating our emotions, running the external events through the filter and not having reactivity. Reactivity triggers our survival brain and releases cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And stress hits the hippocampal area of our brain that is the very area that we use to lay down learning and memory. So a lot of stress impedes people from learning and remembering. Affirming your teenager for who they are, not what they do, is an important piece of healthy parenting. Because if we only have affirmation for what we do, then we think we have to keep doing well to have worth and value. So teaching our children that everyone on the planet has equal worth and value is not based on what we do. What we do certainly has consequences and needs to be evaluated, but letting our children know from an early age that their worth and value is not based on what they look like, what kind of grades they make, what kind of friends they have, that their worth and value is unchangeable, immutable, and 100% solid, that we value them for who they are, not what they do. That's baking the cake. Affirming what someone does is frosting and sprinkles.